You're listening to Off Ramp. I'm T. Michael Crowell. Jazz is going through something of a transition of sorts these days. Audiences are aging, significant historical players are passing away, and it sure seems like there are fewer and fewer gigs for players. And, if I've heard it once, I've heard it a million times, jazz fans always asking, where are the young people in the music? Well, tonight, as UCSD prepares to open its 10th annual jazz camp for jazz students ages 14 to adult, they're doing that on June 24th, we're going to talk to a couple of musicians from the ripe old age of 17, one's 18, and see if we can find some answers for those questions there. Tonight, my guests are saxophonist Daniel Shaughnessy and composer-pianist Ben Statz, both members of the Lonesome Georges, a quartet of players, all seniors in high school, and all of them past students of the UCSD Jazz Camp. The UCSD program gives players like Daniel and Ben an opportunity to learn from active jazz professionals, players like Gilbert Castellanos, Holly Hoffman, Mike Wofford, Charles McPherson. But before I introduce Ben and Daniel, let's listen to some of the Lonesome Georges' new CD, Simple Harmonic Motion, the Lonesome Georges and the music of Ben Statz. This is the opening cut, Doodle. like to welcome Daniel Shaughnessy and Ben Statz to Off Ramp tonight. Guys, thanks for joining me.
Oh, thank you.
Ben, nice tune. That track's yours, as are 7 of the 8 cuts on that CD. Why don't you tell me about Doodle?
Let's see, Doodle, it's kind of a contrafact of a song that my piano teacher originally wrote. The chords were his, but the melody's mine. For that one, I just kind of wanted a pretty standard swing tune. It's just kind of a good intro for the CD, which we decided later. Nothing that special. Just it's kind of something upbeat, I think.
Now, both of you are 17, right?
Yes.
I'm 18.
Oh,
You're 18, Daniel?
never mind.
Ben, when did you start writing tunes? When did you start writing jazz music?
Jazz, I don't remember when I started writing jazz music exactly, but I know I started writing music in general when I was around 5. So I was pretty involved in writing for most of the time that I've been playing piano, actually.
Mm-hmm. That's not a common thing among younger people your age. How did you find yourself into that?
I actually don't remember. I think a lot of what it was there's this program at my school called the Reflections program. So it's like an arts program, and I've entered that almost every year since I was in kindergarten, and I've entered musical compositions. That's one of the categories. I think that's kind of helped me develop the writing, and I got introduced to jazz when I was around 7, so I just kind of transitioned my writing into that also.
Now, who introduced you to jazz, and how'd you get that?
It was one of my piano teachers. His name was Lee Galloway. When we moved from San Diego to Sacramento when I was 7, we found a new teacher, and he did jazz as well as classical, which I'd originally done. So I just kind of gradually learned jazz, and I just came to like that actually over the years more than classical.
So do your friends listen to jazz? Listen to the music that you listen to?
Some of them, like the people in this band.
Wow, that makes sense.
I don't really talk about music with most of my friends actually. It's
you compose tunes like that, and you don't talk about music?
Yes.
That's interesting. Daniel, how about you? How'd you get involved in music, jazz specifically?
I didn't get involved in jazz until 8th and maybe 9th grade when I got introduced by my teachers. I started playing saxophone in 6th grade, but actually when I first played my first jazz song, it was in 8th grade, which ironically happened at a military academy. So marching Barry playing Jerry Mulligan.
That's a big horn to carry around.
Especially when you're in 8th grade.
I guess so. Now, the Lonesome Georges are, Daniel, you're on saxophone, Ben Levinson on bass, Ben, you keyboard and compositions, and Nick Vlez on drums. Tell me about that name. Where'd that name come from?
Well, the Lonesome George is actually the name of the last male turtle of his species living in the Galapagos. And I personally don't remember how I stumbled across it. At best guess, I might say Wikipedia. But there was something about that name that just sort of caught me. I mean, 4 guys playing together, last chance to play jazz before we all head off to college in separate ways, all within Northern California. So I think it just was one of those things where you sort of see it and go, that's exactly what I need right now. So I think that's sort of how the name came about. So
Daniel, you're from Coronado, and Ben, you're from Poway. How about the other guys in the band?
The other Ben is from Poway, actually. I'm from Rancho Penasquitos.
Oh, Penasquitos, sorry.
Yes.
Too close. Confused me.
Oh. And Nick, he also goes to school in Coronado. Do you know where he actually lives?
Yeah, I think Nick is from Serra Mesa.
So you're from all over the county, and how did you get together in this little band?
We got together in this little band by getting together in a bigger band called Generation Jazz, which was a big band that was formerly known as the San Diego Jazz Ensemble. And I played Barry sax in that, and the other people in the band played their respective instruments. And just one day, we sort of said, hey, do you guys want to try playing in a smaller group for once? And I guess it worked out.
I think Daniel's dad actually had a pretty big influence in forming this band together, getting us gigs and stuff, sort of just scheduling things for us.
Yeah,
you know, so
major help.
So he's the manager.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. Your instrument of choice, Daniel, you're a saxophone player. Who do you listen to? What drew you to the saxophone?
Oh, Well, in 6th grade, the reason I started the saxophone was because my mom wanted me to play clarinet, and it was the school band, and the teacher, who I fell in love with, told everyone, pick the instrument you want to play. So I grabbed clarinet, and the next day he said, "You don't look happy." And I said, "I'm not. I don't want to play clarinet." He goes, "What do you want to play?" I said, "Well, saxophone." He goes, "Pick up a saxophone." So I think just those simple words from him really encouraged me to start following what I wanted to do. And so I started on alto saxophone. Then from there, I just went through the ranks. But once I started on to jazz, I think the first artist I really listened to was Jerry Mulligan, because I was playing Barry around the time that happened. But then through high school, I slowly started changing who I listened to. Like, I had a really, really quick John Coltrane phase. But then I really got into Paul Desmond. I loved his sound and everything about it. And recently I've actually gotten into Pharoah Sanders, sort of offbeat, but he just definitely has something going on for him.
Ben, how about you? What piano players do you listen to, or do you?
Let's see. Well, it's kind of interesting. I don't listen to much music. It's mostly just like what I hear on the radio. Occasionally when I turn it on, I don't pay attention to too much of who it is, but I do have some favorites. I like Dave Brubeck. I like Oscar Peterson, Herbie Hancock. It's just the standards, pretty much, jazz piano.
Do you both buy and collect jazz music?
Not actively, but over the years, I've definitely amassed a large collection of music. It's a lot easier now that everything's digital.
Let's listen to another track off the album. This is a very funky The Ladder. Let's hear that.